A very good evening to all of you and welcome to the news tonight here on Rajya TV. In the next 30 minutes, I'll be taking you through the day's top stories. I'm Tracy Shilshi and here are the headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi chairs a meeting of the Niti Aayog, reaches out to states on the land acquisition bill despite many chief ministers skipping the meet. On World Youth Skills Day, Modi government launches its ambitious Skill India mission, targets 40.2 crore workers by 2022. 1993 Mumbai blast accused Yaqub Memon likely to be executed on the 30th of July. Maharashtra Chief Minister says the government will follow the Supreme Court directives on the issue. And amid growing dissent over bailout terms, Greek MPs now debate tough economic measures, including raising taxes and retirement age. Top story this evening. Less than a week to the start of the monsoon session of Parliament, Prime Minister Modi brought the focus back on the stalled land acquisition bill at the Niti Aayog meeting today. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley said that some states are keen to bring their own legislations to make it easier to acquire land, as they cannot indefinitely wait for a consensus on the central legislation. Here are the details.
At the second meeting of the Governing Council of Niti Aayog, the Prime Minister reached out to the opposition parties on the land acquisition bill. He said the political deadlock was seriously impacting rural development.
कई राज्यों के मुख्यमंत्री, जिसमें प्रमुख रूप से यूपीए के राज्यों के मुख्यमंत्री भी थे, उन्होंने केंद्र सरकार को उस कानून को लागू करने में कठिनाइयां क्या है इसके संबंध में लिखा भी था। उसके पश्चात जून 2014 में उस वक्त के इस विभाग के मंत्री नितिन गडकरी जी ने सभी राज्यों की बैठक बुलाई थी, जिसमें एक आम राय राज्यों की बनी, जिसके मिनट्स भी अवेलेबल हैं, कि इसको बदला जाए।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi clarified there was no difference between the centre and the states on paying enhanced compensation.
जब राज्यों ने आग्रह किया तो सरकार इस दिशा में आगे बढ़ी है और राज्यों को जिस फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी की अपेक्षा है, केंद्र उस कंसर्न को भी मद्देनजर रखेगा इस विषय में आगे बढ़ते हुए।
Chief Ministers of the 9 Congress-ruled states boycotted the meeting, while Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar and Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Mufti Mohammad Saeed were among the 16 chief ministers who attended it.
But for petty political reasons, if Congress leaders have decided to not attend meeting today, I think it's highly unfortunate. I think it's an action that is highly unwarranted and unbecoming of a political party.
I don't know why Prime Minister should hurry up to take up the matter with the Niti Aayog. That means to say he wants to bypass Parliament. He doesn't want to take the Parliament into confidence, and and taking up directly with the Niti Aayog may not be an appropriate forum.
Other notable absentees were West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee, Tamil Nadu's J. Jayalalitha, Odisha's Naveen Patnaik, and Akhilesh Yadav from Uttar Pradesh. The right to fair compensation and transparency in Land Acquisition, Rehabilitation and Resettlement Act, or Land Acquisition Bill, is being scrutinized by a 30-member joint committee of the Parliament. The committee is scheduled to give its report later this month. Bureau Report, Rajya TV.
All right, for more on this, we're joined by Shekhar Iyer in studio this evening. He's the political editor of the Deccan Herald. Shekhar, thanks so much for joining us again here on the news tonight. Give us a sense really of what eventually went down at that Niti Aayog meeting. All the more it's looking tough for the BJP as far as the land bill is concerned.
Yeah, it was, more or less on expected lines, in the sense that we saw the Congress chief ministers skip the meeting. And along with that, we saw chief ministers of Uttar Pradesh, Orissa, Tamil Nadu, West Bengal also did not turn up. And those who went, interestingly, both Nitish Kumar of Bihar and Arvind Kejriwal, the Delhi chief minister, they actually explained the problems in bringing in these amendments and kind of problems that will happen. And significantly, Nitish Kumar as he was quoted by Finance Minister Arun Jaitley as saying later, that this is not the inopportune time to bring this legislation and amendments. So therefore, I think the whole exercise seems to be that the Prime Minister was very keen that chief ministers are also consulted, because so far we have seen it has been in Parliament, and now there is a parliamentary committee which is has gone into this, and that committee is in fact supposed to be tomorrow, where they are going to hear different departments of the government explain why the amendment is necessary, particularly the 2014 ordinance, which has been promulgated at least 3 times now. So therefore, what we are seeing is there seems to be a tactical approach, in the sense somewhere along we don't see that speed or that push that was seen earlier. Rather, the government is also biding time, in the sense probably it would want the assembly elections in Bihar to get over, because it would not like this particular acquisition bill to become a very big issue in Bihar, though it is definitely bound to be part of the political discourse and debate during the campaign. So there is some kind of a tactical, we can see, I would not call it a retreat, but definitely a slowdown, in the hope probably later when, because there are other important legislative, business on the government's agenda, particularly the GST bill. And the government is very clear that it wants to bring this legislation to be in force from next year, the Goods Services, tax bill, which is from April next year. Therefore, I think there is a lot of weighing the pros and cons of going full steam now.
Also, Shekhar, is it also, do you think it's a strategy of the government now trying to put the onus really on the chief ministers? Arun Jaitley himself said that there were some chief ministers who were in fact, had in fact suggested earlier some changes should be done, that they are willing to, implement it in their states, but with some changes on their own. Now they're trying to make it seem as if, we're trying our best, but, it's really for the benefit of the states. Is the chief minister's onus now to really get this implemented?
Yeah, I think... See, right from last year, from June last year, when that conference was held of states and chief ministers called by Nitin Gadkari when he was the rural development minister, this point has been said that many of the chief ministers, particularly those from the Congress also, particularly then Prithviraj Chavan, who was chief minister then of Maharashtra, you had even the Karnataka chief minister Siddaramaiah saying that there are problems in the 2013 Act, that the whole modalities that was framed in that act has made the land acquisition difficult. In fact, that was the thrust of the BJP as well as the India government's argument throughout last year, that states are finding it difficult. But after the Congress leadership led by Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi took a decision, now the bill will be opposed in toto and the 2013 Act should remain as it is. We have seen the Congress chief ministers have also been forced to change their stand, in the sense they would rather go by what the High Command is saying.
Yes.
So that point was again sought to be, played out today by Mr. Jaitley when he was briefing the media on the Niti Aayog's deliberations.
All right. Well, that of course, as far as the Niti Aayog meet was concerned, in very simple words, you could say it turned out to be quite a flop show, but something that's of course getting the praises for Narendra Modi. The Prime Minister, in fact, today also launching the ambitious Scale India campaign. The new initiative will ensure that 24 lakh young people are trained by the end of this year and almost 40 crores by 2022. Take a look at this.
अगर चीन की पहचान दुनिया की मैन्युफैक्चरिंग फैक्ट्री की है, तो हिंदुस्तान की पहचान दुनिया की रिक्वायर्ड ह्यूमन रिसोर्स का कैपिटल बनने की बन सकती है। हमारे पास जो ताकत है, उस पर हमें बल देना है। हमें अपनी ताकत पर जितना हम जोर लगाएंगे, हम चीजों को उतना प्राप्त करेंगे।
कौशल भारत, कुशल भारत।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi launching the 1500 crore Skill India program on Wednesday, underscoring its potential and the need for India to become the HR capital of the world. He said the scheme is not merely to fill pockets, but to bring a sense of self-confidence among the poor. This, he said, is a war against poverty.
और ये गरीबी खिलाफ का जंग जीतने के लिए गरीब की ही मुझे फौज बनानी है। हर गरीब मेरा फौजी है, हर गरीब नौजवान मेरा फौजी है। उन्हीं की ताकत से, उन्हीं के बलबूते पर ये गरीबी के खिलाफ जंग जीत रहा है।
The Prime Minister also stressed upon the creation of structures and mechanisms to nurture youngsters, enabling them to find employment. His idea was endorsed by Finance Minister Arun Jaitley, who said India has a bright spot among the global economies.
Our services sector is almost going to touch a double-digit growth. Hopefully, with the kind of initiatives that we are pumping into the economy, from infrastructure to smart cities, to a lot of initiatives in agriculture, our manufacturing sector, with the Make in India initiative, is also going to pick up. From almost a flat manufacturing growth 14 months ago, signs of revival are almost visible.
Through the Skill India program, the Union government provides a skill card to the youth. This card can be used by employers to verify the skill training credentials obtained by any job seeker, lessening the burden of carrying bundles of certificates. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, Shekhar is still with us in studio. Shekhar, what's the sense that you're getting? What's the reaction that you're getting on Skill India? Is it another project that sounds really good, but then there are still apprehensions how it'll eventually turn out?
No, I think this is one of the very important flagship programs of this government, because Prime Minister has been talking about this right from last year, when he came to office. And this program, as we have seen today, is job creation is one of the important political agenda of the Prime Minister. In fact, the way this government has been going about it, that everything should ultimately, lead to creation of jobs. Even when you talk of land acquisition bill, this is again about, allowing, as the government has been saying, is allowing use of land for creating infrastructure projects for bridges, highways, and other things that will ultimately lead to creation of jobs. So therefore, today we are seeing a new program, which is going to be a flagship program, where the Prime Minister is looking at all the government ministries, particularly like railways, defense, highways, some of these major the government departments, somehow coordinating with this newly created Department of Skill Development. Because I think the basic problem that is facing the country today is you have a workforce in the country of which only 2 to 3% are skilled in any form of in any technical skill or otherwise, even in non-technical skills.
Yes.
So the whole idea is, if you look at the world standards, you find Korea has almost 90% of their workforce which is skilled in one form or the other. And very interestingly, today Prime Minister spoke about IIT and ITI, because we have always focused on IITs, the Indian Institute of Technologies, which are considered the cream of technical education, but he's talking about ITI, the Industrial Training Institutes, which are there in all over the country, but which are languishing, which need to be given more funds, which will have to be, because it's all about developing skills. Some of them are very basic skills, but given the kind of workforce we have, you will have to turn them into, basically making them employable.
All right, Shekhar, thanks so much for joining us on these two big stories of the day. Thank you so much for joining us here on the news tonight. All right, moving on with more news now. The CBI today filed 2 cases in the Vyapam scam. The investigating agency also launched a probe into the mysterious deaths of 5 people associated with the case. Meanwhile, the BJP traded charges with the Congress after it accused Union Minister Dharmendra Pradhan and other BJP and RSS functionaries of, quote-unquote, receiving payments from an accused in the scandal. The BJP hit back, saying that the Congress was rehashing old charges that had nothing to do with the Vyapam scam. Pradhan also dismissed the allegation. Congress leaders Jairam Ramesh and Randeep Surjewala shared the documents with the media, allegedly showing prime accused Sudhir Sharma extending favours to BJP and RSS leaders. Without a quick break here, still ahead, India counts at benefits after Iran deal. Details of that in a bit.
A historic Iran nuclear deal, ending a 13-year standoff, returning this isolated nation of huge potential to the mainstream. How do geopolitical dynamics change? What strategic shifts lie ahead? Watch The Big Picture at 9:30 p.m. on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. You're watching the news tonight. Now, execution procedures are underway for the hanging of 1993 Mumbai blast convict Yaqub Memon, even ahead of the Supreme Court order on his second review petition. The Maharashtra Chief Minister today said that his government would allow all directives from the apex court in the case as signs of politicking on the urgency of the execution became apparent. Here's a report.
On death row, with the clock virtually counting down to the hanging, after appeals and mercy petitions have all cleared the road to execution of 1993 blasts convict Yaqub Memon, all that's awaited is a final nod from the Supreme Court. Memon will be hanged on the 30th of this month if his second review plea to the apex court is rejected on the coming Monday. Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis voiced a readiness to go by the SC order. Memon is imprisoned in Nagpur jail in his state.
मैं आज इतना ही कह सकता हूं कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने एक फैसला दिया है और उस फैसले के अनुरूप राज्य सरकार कार्रवाई करेगी.
The state has started the process for the execution by obtaining a warrant from the Tada court. Yaqub Memon was first sentenced to death on July 27, 2007 by a special Tada court probing the 1993 blasts. His appeals were rejected by the higher courts. In March 2014, the Supreme Court upheld his death sentence while commuting the sentence of 10 other accused to life. President Pranab Mukherjee rejected his mercy petition in April 2014. In April this year, the Supreme Court rejected his review petition, after which he filed a second plea. This final plea will be heard on the 21st of July. The sensitive death sentence issue and urgency of its execution has taken on colours of political debate.
22 साल के बाद में याकूब मेमन को फांसी होगी. अब मन में और एक इच्छा बाकी है कि इसी प्रकार से दाऊद भी फांसी पे चढ़े.
कोई भी बड़ा से बड़ा मुल्जिम क्यों ना हो, अगर उसने मर्सी पिटीशन डाला है तो उस पर विचार और वो विचारहीन है.
Yaqub Memon is convicted of criminal conspiracy, arranging finances and aiding and abetting terror, among other charges, in the 1993 Mumbai serial blasts that killed 257 people and injured more than 700. One section feels he is the weakest link in the terror chain that involves his brother Tiger Memon and D Company chief Dawood Ibrahim. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
Now to the capital, and the Aam Aadmi Party has landed into yet another controversy, this time over the appointment of Swati Maliwal as the new head of the Delhi Commission for Women. She is the wife of AAP leader Naveen Jaihind and current advisor on grievances to Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal.
The Delhi Chief Minister landing in yet another controversy, with questions being asked about his choice for the new DCW chief. Kejriwal appointed Swati Maliwal, the wife of his party's Haryana leader Naveen Jaihind.
आम आदमी पार्टी की वो कार्यकर्ता नहीं है. स्वाति जी क्या आम आदमी पार्टी की जो सरकार दिल्ली के अंदर चल रही है उसमें एडवाइजर के तौर पे काम नहीं कर रही? क्या स्वाति जी अरविंद केजरीवाल जी की रिश्तेदार नहीं है? क्या स्वाति जी जो हरियाणा के सबसे बड़े नेता हैं और जो पिछली बार मुख्यमंत्री के कैंडिडेट होने वाले थे उनकी पत्नी नहीं है? ये तमाम तरह की क्वालिटीज़ कह लीजिए वो आम आदमी पार्टी की स्वाति जी के ऊपर एप्लीकेबल नहीं होती क्या?
This is a clear case of nepotism. In fact, whatever they have been saying in public, they are doing just the opposite.
Legal experts are also questioning Maliwal's merit for such a post.
पूरा पारदर्शी तरीके से पोस्ट को एडवर्टाइज करना चाहिए, एप्लीकेशंस मंगानी चाहिए, एक न्यूट्रल सिलेक्शन बॉडी होनी चाहिए. यही तो हम लोग लोकपाल और तरह तरह के पोस्ट के लिए मांग करते रहे हैं. लेकिन उसके बजाय और ये कहना कि स्वाति जो है पार्टी से जुड़ी नहीं है, ये तो हास्यास्पद होगा.
Outgoing DCW chief Barkhar Shukla, who has been at loggerheads with the Aam Aadmi Party, has alleged that the political appointment has been done to save two of its leaders, Kumar Vishwas and Somnath Bharti, against whom cases are pending at the commission.
उनको वहां पे बिठाया जा रहा है सिर्फ इसलिए कि महिला आयोग में कोई न्याय ना हो सके. शुरू से ये पार्टी जो है महिला विरोधी पार्टी रही है और ये सिर्फ इसलिए कि इस जो हमारे केसेस पेंडिंग हैं उनको दबाने के लिए कोई काम ना हो सके महिला आयोग में.
The Aam Aadmi Party, however, has dismissed the allegations.
मैं स्पष्ट करना चाहूंगा आधिकारिक तौर पे कि यह परिवारवाद जो कह रहे हैं उनको परिवारवाद की परिभाषा नहीं पता है. स्वाति मालीवाल अरविंद केजरीवाल की कोई सगी संबंधी रिश्तेदार नहीं है.
The post of the DCW chief gets vacant on the 17th of July when Barkhar Shukla's 2-year term comes to an end. With Anu Diwan, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And now let's get you more updates from across the country in Nationwide. The bodies of 4 police officials who were kidnapped by Maoists earlier this week were found on a road in Chhattisgarh's Bijapur district. The constables were reportedly killed using sharp weapons. Along with the bodies, the rebels also left behind the belongings of the constables and a handwritten note listing the reasons for the killings. In a fresh ceasefire violation ahead of the Prime Minister's visit, Pakistani troops today resorted to mortar shelling, leaving a woman dead and 3 others injured, including a BSF personnel, along the international border in Jammu. Firing from both the sides has since stopped. Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister said a retired judge will be appointed to conduct an inquiry into the stampede that broke out yesterday on the banks of River Godavari that claimed 27 lives. Authorities today stepped up vigil, diverting pilgrims to various bathing ghats to avoid overcrowding. An Indian is among the group of 20 foreign tourists arrested for suspected links to a terror group in Mongolia. He was allegedly associated with a religiously inspired charity that is under the scanner for terror links. Indian officials confirmed that the embassy in Beijing has sought access to the Indian under arrest. China has agreed to release 11 of the tourists, but the rest will be continued to be held without a charge. The reason behind their arrest remains unclear. International news now. In the landmark deal on limiting Iran's nuclear program has given India plenty of reasons to cheer. Global oil prices fell immediately after the announcement of the deal. But that is not all. India's economic outlook also is expecting to improve in many other ways. Take a look.
A day after Iran signed the nuclear deal, India is counting the gains. Due to US sanctions on Iran, energy-starved India was forced to travel halfway around the world to Venezuela to buy gas. Now it can look forward to increasing supply from Iran up to 0.5 million barrels per day in 6 months, which could mean a crude oil price benefit of up to $3 per barrel.
मार्केट में सरप्लस आ जाएगी तो हमारी चेहरे पे तो खुशी आएगी तो आप लोगों को भी खुशी मिलेगी, रेट और घटेगी, प्राइसेस रीजनेबल हो जाएगी, प्राइसेस रिस्पॉन्सिबल हो जाएगी.
Iran was India's second largest supplier of crude oil, but it dropped to number 7 by 2013-14. India stopped importing Iranian oil in March because of US pressure. Sanctions meant that New Delhi could import not more than 9 million tons of oil in 2015. Easing of sanctions will not only help India to cut its oil bill of $150 billion, but also allow it to export agricultural commodities like basmati rice and sugar to Tehran. Stalled projects are expected to get a fillip. Farzad B gas field in the Persian Gulf was discovered by ONGC Videsh Limited in 2008, but India has not pursued the project since then due to the sanctions against Iran. The reserves of Farzad B are said to be almost thrice the largest gas field in India. India also signed a contract with Iran to build a Chabahar port in the southeast Iran.
Now we have to start the dialogue afresh, and I do hope with the diplomatic efforts we do get the opportunity to develop that field. That's a very, very strong positive. There's going to be $5 to $7 billion investment for discovering that field.
The world is looking with skepticism at the US-Iran political defrost, but India is having its sights firmly on the economic benefits ahead. Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, the Greek Parliament is debating the European Union bailout plan. Ahead of the voting, Prime Minister Tsipras called its proposals irrational, but expressed willingness to implement it to save Greece from an economic collapse. He faces stiff opposition from his own party. The IMF has come out to say that Greece's debt relief has now become highly unsustainable. Here's more.
A last-ditch yet apologetic effort from Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras to sell a tough deal to Parliament, the first big challenge to Greece getting a EU bailout.
Όμως να υλοποιήσω και δεν θα δραπετεύσω από τις ευθύνες μου. Δεν θα δραπετεύσω από τις ευθύνες μου διότι αυτό που προέχει τούτη την ώρα είναι να διασφαλίσω τουλάχιστον ότι η χώρα και τα λαϊκά στρώματα δεν θα διακινδυνεύσουν μια τεράστια καταστροφή, οικονομική καταστροφή. Ότι δεν θα καταρρεύσει το τραπεζικό σύστημα και δεν θα χαθούν οι
Ahead of the vote, Greece's Deputy Finance Minister resigned over growing pressure. His own radical left Syriza party is set to vote against agreement to strong spending cuts, something Cyprus had vowed to.
I'm not going to vote for this agreement, and this meant that I cannot stay as a member, I cannot stay in the government. It's only decent that, I surrender my ministry.
Προσωπικά, όπως ξέρετε, και όλος ο ΣΥΡΙΖΑ δεν ψηφίσαμε το πρώτο μνημόνιο. Δεν ψηφίσαμε και το δεύτερο μνημόνιο. Και δικαιωθήκαμε. Δεν θα ψηφίσω και το τρίτο μνημόνιο.
Meanwhile, the IMF criticized EU's bailout proposal, saying it does not go far enough. IMF has recommended a very dramatic extension on the maturity of Greece's debts, with grace periods of 30 years on the entire stock of European debt. Both Germany and the UK backed the IMF call. Meanwhile, the European Commission has proposed to give a €7 billion bridge loan to Greece to cover the country's financing needs in July using the European Financial Stability Mechanism.
This is why the Commission, responding to the request from the Greek authorities, has proposed to the Council to grant short-term emergency assistance up to 3 months from the EFSM and to build the bridge needed until the ESM program is in place.
Greeks rallied in capital Athens against the new bailout deal that could save Athens from bankruptcy but will impose more reforms on the crisis-hit country. The €86 billion deal was agreed in Brussels earlier on Monday. It requires Greece to increase taxes and raise the retirement age. Greek MPs could reject or partially reject the bailout, which will force Cyprus to rely on pro-European opposition lawmakers to carry the vote. A snap election could follow if the Prime Minister's majority collapses. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
With that, let's get you some more international news in Global Buzz. A solar-powered plane was grounded in Hawaii after it was halfway through an attempt to circle the globe. It won't be able to take off at least for another 9 months now because of battery damage. That would be the time needed to repair the plane's 4 batteries, which store energy from the sun during daylight. The plane traveled a 118-hour trans-Pacific flight from Japan. Leader of the Afghan Taliban, Mullah Muhammad Omar, backed peace talks with the Afghan government. A message marking the festival of Eid al-Fitr made no direct reference to the talks, but said Islam didn't bar peaceful interaction with enemies. The Taliban have stepped up attacks on Afghan security forces, though. President Barack Obama called for sweeping reforms to the U.S. criminal justice system, including curbing use of solitary confinement. He said that lengthy mandatory minimum sentences should be reduced or thrown out entirely. The last significant changes to the criminal justice system in the U.S. came in 2013 when U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder dropped mandatory minimum sentences for non-violent drug offenders. Gulf-backed Yemeni forces recaptured Aden's international airport from Houthi militia fighters on Tuesday after the collapse of a humanitarian truce. Forces loyal to exiled President Mansour Hadi also took Aden's central district of Kormaksar. A coalition of Arab states has been bombarding Houthi forces, Yemen's dominant power, since late March in a bid to reinstate Hadi. Earthquake hit Nepal will train 50,000 workers to carry out reconstruction. Nepal needs $6.6 billion to rebuild after the twin earthquakes in April and May this year killed almost 9,000 people in the country's worst natural disaster. The earthquakes required a massive international rescue and relief operation, which Nepal called off in June. And finally, a day after the Supreme Court appointed committee suspended IPL teams Chennai Super Kings and Rajasthan Royals for 2 years, cricket authorities today decided to scrap the Champions League T20 tournament with immediate effect. The Governing Council, comprising representatives of the cricket boards of India, South Africa and Australia, made the decision unanimously. Scrapping of the CL-T20 was always on cards due to the poor response it generated, but the Lodha Committee report was the last straw for the Governing Council after defending champions Chennai Super Kings were suspended on Tuesday. And that's all we have for you on the news tonight from the entire team here. Good night.